everyone, welcome to yet another session of Master Mains PYQ by NEXT IAS. Today we are going to discuss a question from your geography portion of your GS paper 1 of CSE 2023 mains examination. The question here is, identify and discuss the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. Assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in rainforest regions of India. It was asked in 15 marker and you need to write it in 250 words. I hope you have already written the question and submitted it for free evaluation. This is part of your geography syllabus, and from the syllabus part specifically, it covers the distribution of key natural resources around the world and India. Alright, so in this question, we need to discuss about the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. India is a land of diversity. As you know, in the sense of natural vegetation also, India ranges from areas of hot desert areas in Rajasthan to most wettest place on the earth, Mawsynram in Meghalaya. So there is variety of natural vegetation occurring across the length and breadth of India. So in the intro part, you can start with citing the different natural vegetation present around India. Alright, so we will write these one by one. If you start from the topical, first is moist deciduous. Alright, moist deciduous forest. Second is dry deciduous. Third is wet evergreen. Alright, and semi-evergreen. These all areas, these all forest area, these all natural vegetation you need to write in the introduction part, because we need to identify these and then we will tell how the factors are responsible for such kind of diversity occurring in the natural vegetation. Alright, so in the tropical we have written already 4. Then you can write thorny regions, alpine. Then we will go to Himalayas. In the Himalayas you can write about dry and moist. Dry Himalayan forest and moist. Also subtropical coniferous. These are also found in the Himalayan region. Alright, these Himalayas dry and moist are temperate forests. So these natural vegetation areas you need to write, and you can write these on the map also, like make a map of India and then mark all these areas. Let's first draw the map of India. I'll try to draw it as fine as possible. Alright, so I'm going to rectify it like this a little bit. Alright, so the areas we wrote earlier, we will try to map it here on the India map. So one by one, if you start, let's see here. Here it is tropical semi-evergreen. And near to it, you can find moist deciduous. Drawing a map it might fetch you some extra marks, because it is part of the question natural vegetation. It is asked clearly, and mapping it, it will assert that you already know where these areas lie. Alright, so I'll use different color. Here, these areas and these areas, these are alpine. Alright, here swamps you know in Manipur, Loktak Lake. Alright, Fumdis you have heard about. Fumdis. Alright, we'll quote these also. Alright, now here this major chunk of area, this is tropical dry deciduous. It was moist deciduous and it is dry deciduous. Now this area, this is mainly desert. Alright, and these are thorny. Here thorny vegetations are found. Alright, so in this way you can map it. Here in this region and this region also, wet evergreen areas are found here also. So try to map it out like in this way. Alright, now moving to the body of this question. It is asking, discuss the factors responsible for diversity of natural vegetation in India. We will see the factors responsible one by one. So first factor responsible is climate. But climate consists of it mainly consists of temperature plus precipitation. So temperature and precipitation across India is not uniform. Alright, ranging from -degrees in higher altitudes to more than 45 degrees, like 49 degrees and 50 degrees also near in Rajasthan regions and in MP areas also. So temperature variation is high in India. So if you see temperature in higher temperatures like in Rajasthan, alright, MP, in this area vegetation is different. Alright, so here you will write, you can write the name of these national parks also. In Rajasthan there is Desert National Park, alright, and in MP Shivpuri you can write about Madhav National Park. These national parks, these act as example, and in this national park you can find dry deciduous areas. Alright, these are the example for us. We are seeing the factor climatic factor is responsible, and because of this climatic factor of higher temperature, dry deciduous areas are found, forest areas are found in this Rajasthan and MP region. Alright, in this we will go. And if you go to the lower temperatures, then Himalayan region, alright, in the Himalayan region you will find moist deciduous, okay, moist deciduous forest areas, also alpine forest areas, depending on the altitudes, different altitudes and latitudes also. Alright, across if you see from west to east, there is difference in the forest area, there is difference in the vegetation area. Alright, so temperature higher and lower both we have covered. If you see the precipitation part, there are some area where higher precipitation is there, or higher precipitation like in Assam, Meghalaya. So there you will find, for example, you can write about Kaziranga National Park, Assam. Alright, so here you will find semi-evergreen forests, alright, and moist deciduous forest. Quote this example. Alright, so in the higher precipitation areas you have quoted this, and low precipitation areas, for example in the Rajasthan some area, there you will find thorny forest. Alright, so in this way you can cover temperature and precipitation. In the climatic conditions, other things also come, like sunlight, how much sunlight, intensity of sunlight, duration of sunlight, alright, and wind pattern also. So all these are climatic factors which decide what kind of natural vegetation will occur in a particular place. Alright, second factor responsible here is soil. Alright, in India we find variety of soils like alluvial soil, laterite, red and yellow soil, black soil. So depending on the soil structure also, soil presence also, there is different type of vegetation present across India. Alright, so if you see, take example of Gangetic Plains. There you will find alluvial soil, and because of those alluvial soil, that is a fertile soil, you will find dense forest area also along the Gangetic Plains. Alright, and if you see the Deccan Plateau, there is black soil. Alright, so this black soil is also very fertile, and in the area of you can say Western Ghats, along with many other factors and presence of black soil also, the area is very fertile, vegetation is very dense. Alright, so soil is also a factor. If you see swamps, as I have told you, swamps, that is different type. Here these swamps are found in Manipur area, in the Loktak Lake. Alright, you might have heard about it, you might have seen the pictures also, from these are there. So this is different type of natural vegetation. Here the area of soil with some natural vegetation is found in the lakes. Say it is like in the some portions. If this is the lake portion, if you see, you will find from this like this. These are not collectively present, but in smaller regions these are present. You can check this on the internet also. Alright, so soil is a factor. Now let's go to the third factor. If you can say, the third factor here is altitude. Higher altitudes. Alright, higher altitudes are found mainly in Himalayas and Deccan Plateau, Western Ghats, you can say. Alright, all these regions, all the mountainous regions. Alright, so here in the Himalayas regions, you will find the temperate forests. Alright, temperate forests are found in the Himalayas region. Also, here you will find alpine and subalpine. So, because of the altitude, because of the change in the altitude, the vegetation also changed from plains to the higher altitudes. Alright, and here you will find oaks. If you want to write the example, oaks you can find, and conifers. So, alright, so altitude and topography of a particular place, that is also responsible for a different type of natural vegetation. Now, let's see the fourth point. Fourth point you can here write is weather changes. See, weather in India, it doesn't stay the same all around the year. Weather changes, or weather pattern you can say. Alright, we have monsoon, we have western disturbances. Alright, we have snowfall also in some areas. We have you can say heat waves also. Alright, so all these weather patterns, different type of weather patterns occur in different areas in India, and because of these seasonal changes, seasonal variations in the natural vegetation can also be seen. For example, in Kashmir, if you say some area, sometime it is whole green covered and colorful. Alright, in the spring season it is fully green and colored because of different kind of flowers and vegetation, and immediately after the snowfall you can say, or during the snowfall, or just before the snowfall, it is very like, it's now no green cover is there, already brown leaves you can say over all the place. So because of change in weather pattern, natural vegetation also differs throughout the year. Alright, so that is seasonal. So seasonal changes also you can quote here. Alright, now let's go to the next point. Next point is climate change. Climate change, global warming. Because of climate change and global warming, over the years, the natural vegetation of certain places has altered. Alright, the pattern has altered. A study also happened, and according to the study, near the Brahmaputra and Kosi region, Kosi river basin, the forest vegetation had changed. Forest vegetation has changed in these areas. A study had quoted this thing. Alright, so climate change and global warming are also factors which are responsible for occurrence of different type of natural vegetation. The next point is, sixth point is developmental activities. Developmental activities which we mostly quote in a negative sense in relation to environment, but also here we can write up with the conservation efforts. So in the developmental activities you can quote infrastructure development like hydroelectric projects, roads, railways, etc. And the conservation efforts you can write about national parks, protected areas, okay, wildlife sanctuaries you can write. Alright, so because of these developmental activities, most of the vegetation, it is negatively hampered. Alright, deforestation occurred, and because of that, the natural vegetation of a particular area has altered in different areas you can say, mostly in the Western Ghat region and the Himalayan region. Lot of disturbances occur because of the infrastructure activities, because of these developmental activities. Now if you see the conservation effort, because of national park and wildlife sanctuary, natural vegetation is protected, preserved, and because of the preservation of these natural vegetation, the preservation of other species, other flora and fauna is also done. Alright, so these things also you can write in the factor portion. So here we have discussed 6 factors responsible for the diversity of natural vegetation in India. The next part of the question is assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in rainforest regions of India. Alright, we will see to it. Firstly, let's mark the rainforest area of India. So if we draw the map like this, okay. Alright, so here we will mark the area which are having rainforests. So here you can mark this. This is the area, and here most of the area is rainforest area. Alright, so you can mark like this. Now it is saying Assess the significance of wildlife sanctuaries in the rainforest regions of India. So we need to write about the wildlife sanctuaries in these particular areas. So what are wildlife sanctuaries? Wildlife sanctuaries are the protected areas. Alright, here where animals various species are protected in their natural habitat, and there is strict restriction on their poaching, okay, trade, killing. Alright, so there is, these things are not allowed. Alright, so these are the wildlife sanctuaries. In India there are more than 500 wildlife sanctuaries existing. So we need to see how these wildlife sanctuaries are protecting the rainforest areas in India. Alright, so we will cover it from point by point. First is biodiversity conservation. That is a very basic point. Alright, because of the formation or because the establishment of such wildlife sanctuaries, the biodiversity of that particular area is preserved. You can take example of Lao Khoa Wildlife Sanctuary. Alright, you need to quote examples. Alright, in Assam. So here, conservation of Indian leopard, Bengal tiger, and Indian boar, etc. is done. Alright, so these species are protected in the wildlife sanctuary, in this Lai Khoa Wildlife Sanctuary. So biodiversity conservation is the point. Alright, the second point we'll see here is these wildlife sanctuaries in these rainforest areas, these act as the carbon sink. Because of the preservation of these areas through the establishment of wildlife sanctuary, the rainforests are protected. Rainforests are the areas of rich biodiversity, and this biodiversity needs to be protected, because if the area is disturbed, if the area get destructed, then habitat of some species will also get disturbed, will get destructed. Alright, and if the habitat destruction is there, then obviously the extinction of the species can occur. So conservation and preservation in these areas is necessary. So carbon sink, these act as carbon sink. If forestation is proper, natural vegetation growth is proper in these areas, then huge tree cover is there, and trees act as carbon sink. Alright, so the carbon that is emitted worldwide and in the nearby areas, that can be absorbed perfectly, you can say comfortably, by these rainforest areas. Alright, so you can write this point also. Third point here is ecotourism. Ecotourism is getting famous day by day a lot, because people are trying to be more eco-friendly. So this ecotourism activities, this also preserve the areas, alright, in the wildlife sanctuary. This ecotourism happen. So it will preserve the natural vegetation also, and it will give opportunity to the tourists also to visit such beautiful places. So ecotourism happens, and in here also you can write example of Bhitarkanika. Alright. So this is also a point. Next point you can write is it arrests deforestation. When wildlife sanctuaries are established, then the human activities are you can say restricted. So, and because of that, deforestation is also restricted. And when deforestation occur, then soil erosion occur, and when this deforestation is stopped, okay, then obviously erosion will not happen, or it will be minimal. So it also, the establishment of these wildlife sanctuary also helps to prevent erosion. Alright, so it is a point. Next point here is, you can say about habitat preservation. Because of wildlife sanctuary, establishment of wildlife sanctuary, many species are preserved in their natural habitat. So habitat preservation is the point when wildlife sanctuary are established in the rainforest region. And habitat preservation you can write like establishment of Chimney Wildlife Sanctuary and Nair Wildlife Sanctuary has helped to conserve the habitat of lion-tailed macaque. Alright, so this example you can write in the habitat preservation part. Next significance of wildlife sanctuary in rainforest areas is, you can write, its tradition and local practices are preserved. Tradition and local practices are done mainly by the inhabitants of these areas. All right, and because of the conservation efforts from the government side, the areas, the forests are preserved. Many of the tribes and many of the inhabitants, they do they have their local deities. They you can say they pray to the forest. All right, pray the forest, trees and all. So because of the conservation efforts to the wildlife sanctuary, these trees and forest areas are preserved, and thus the tradition of these locals can be preserved. In the example, you can tell about Van Bhojan in Dandeli Wildlife Sanctuary. This can be quoted. It is in Karnataka. Try to write examples. Try to substantiate your point through examples, because it shows that you have done a good research on the topics. All right, topics of your syllabus. So this is also a part. So in this way, we have covered the significance of wildlife sanctuaries. One more thing I need to say, because here it is rainforest area, na? So in the rainforest area, rainfall is huge. Rainfall is in a good amount. So when due to the high rainfall, water replenishment is there. And thus the underground water recharge is happening. So because of the forest, because of the preservation of forest through the wildlife sanctuary, this water replenishment and you can say balancing of the underground water is ensured. So this is also a point. Now, if in the conclusion part, you can conclude through the various steps, acts by the government of India to conserve the natural vegetation, or with which steps can be taken to conserve the natural vegetation across India. So here you can write about different points, like you can quote National Green Tribunal. You can quote Forest Rights Act. All right, you can write about this also, and you can write about various forest conservation measures. It has already asked about wildlife sanctuaries, so other protected area, national park, bird sanctuaries also you can write. So these type of establishments should be initiated by government, so that the natural vegetation, the natural resources of the country can be preserved. Next, you can write about hand-in-hand approach, in the sense that government plus NGOs plus local people, locals, these should work hand in hand to conserve the nature, to conserve the natural vegetation of India, and to conserve the diversity of India. All right. So taking help of 1 or 2 or 3 points from these points, you can make a conclusion. I hope you had a value discussion today. Please write the answer to the question posted in the end of this video and submit it for free evaluation. Till we meet next time. Thank you.